In modern warfare, large complex systems costing millions of dollars are defeated by drones costing hundreds of dollars. For example, there are routinely reports of $30 million missile defense systems overwhelmed by swarms of $500 drones. In business, the same math apply. Welcome to the Enduring Advantage podcast. I'm your host, Zachary Alexander. Right now, CEOs are watching cash cows they spent decades building in the form of proprietary systems, carefully cultivated expertise, painstakingly constructed competitive moats, turned into table stakes by swarms of newly launched startups and category-adjacent competitors, using AI capabilities that may not have existed 7 months ago. This is called threat saturation, and it's a strategic concept CEOs are missing while most of them are entirely focused on the moves and machinations of OpenAI and the other major AI providers. Here's a pattern you probably witnessed 1,000 times over the last couple of years. Major AI company launches a capability. Executives scramble to understand the implications and what it means for their business. Consultants debate whether this is a threat or an opportunity. Your team is tasked to implement the additional capability at breakneck speed. You gain temporary relief. Then 7 months later, the cycle repeats. Only this time, the screams are much louder because the threats have doubled in both volume and sophistication. Stop me if you've seen this play out in real time. The real problem isn't the latest AI release or just the speed in which capabilities double. The problem is that threat saturation is fundamentally different from traditional competition, and most CEOs are applying the wrong strategic frameworks to meet the new challenges. Let me be precise about what threat saturation actually means. Threat saturation occurs when you face more competitive threats than your business strategy can reasonably handle. Why this matters? These threats aren't coming from your traditional competitors. Everyone knows the blockbuster video story. Video retail giant killed by Netflix streaming. But that was 2000. And it was one disruptor with a clear business model entering an adjacent market. Let me now show you what threat saturation looks like today. Trust me, it's not about late fees. As a case study, let's talk about Southeast Asian retail and merchant services. You are a merchant leader and retail management consultant. Life's good. 4 completely different companies with 4 completely different starting points all suddenly converge on your competitive space, all deploying AI capabilities simultaneously, in some cases cooperatively, meaning sharing capabilities. Here are the new vectors, participants, you need to be concerned about. Grab. Started as a ride-hailing app. Now their merchant AI assistant gives small and large retailers access to expert guidance traditionally reserved for enterprises at a fraction of the cost. When I say fraction of the cost, I'm talking exponentially less expensive. Indonesia's answer to Grab, nearly even in market share, also added merchant services, AI support, and financial services. And then there's C Group and its e-commerce platform Shopee, plus C Group's fintech Shopee Pay, combined for a broad retail and market ecosystem with AI-powered tools. Lazada, Alibaba's Southeast Asian platform deploying super app features, retail, e-wallet, logistics, and AI-powered merchant services. 4 companies, 4 different origin stories, all converging on the same target market, all deploying similar AI capabilities, all arriving simultaneously. That's what threat saturation looks like in the market today. The management consultants never saw it coming because they were watching the wrong horizon. They were tracking traditional retail consulting competitors while ride-hailing apps and e-commerce platforms were building AI-powered merchant services. Here's a question for you. What's coming for your industry from companies you've never even heard of? No. Here's a better question. How do you build competitive advantages that accelerate faster than AI capabilities do. Traditional strategies can't answer that. They assume you know your competitors. They assume industry boundaries are stable. They assume you'll have all the time in the world to identify your competitors' weaknesses before they get large enough to make any real impact on your bottom line. All three of these assumptions are obsolete. Drone warfare strategies can provide answers to these questions on the battlefield, and enduring advantage can do the same in business or a new opportunity space. Before we go any further, let's define what we mean by enduring advantage in a threat-saturated environment. Enduring advantage is a competitive positioning that compounds over time through value density strategies and intelligent feedback loops, creating barriers to imitation that become mathematically insurmountable as the increase of AI capability accelerates. This is not about temporary wins, not this quarter's edge, not the advantage you get from simply implementing AI before your competitors do. We're talking about positioning that strengthens automatically, while competitors chase the next capability release and panic about what it means for their business model. Now, let's redefine speed for an AI-abundant era, because most executives are measuring it using outdated concepts. Speed in traditional business. How quickly your business system responds to customer queries, how fast you ship products, how rapidly you close deals. Speed in an AI-abundant era is a multidimensional calculation. First dimension, traditional response. Time still matters, but it's table stakes now. AI can respond instantly to simple requests, but something that's a little more than initial acknowledgement won't protect you from a startup swarm. Second dimension, complexity. How fast can your AI-enabled system complete complex projects that used to take weeks or months to do? Now we're entering the AI-abundant opportunity space, and we're dealing with a level playing field where we have to compete on intellect and drive. This is where it helps to have a drone maker mentality. Just an aside, drone makers are the kind of people who use consumer-grade 3D printed airframes to defeat military-spec hardware costing tens of millions of dollars. It's not about the cost of the application, it's about the novelty of the strategy, the intellect required to complete it, or even comprehend it. Third dimension, unsupervised work. Practically speaking, this has to do with how long your AI systems can work on complex problems without human intervention. This is where the real AI capabilities power happens. For the record, we're still talking about people in the loop, even though AI can handle all of the necessary tasks required to accomplish the mission autonomously. Drone makers still use operators to respond to situational changes in the battle space, and you should do the same in business. You could argue that complexity represents two arms of a dilemma. On the one side, you have large multinational companies with unlimited resources. On the other side, you have middle market companies with consumer-grade AI capabilities and intellect and a little secret sauce learned along the way. Back in the day, it was common to talk about the threat posed to your wallet by consultingware. This was enterprise software that required a team of high-priced consultants to deliver any functionality, remnants of which you see in OpenAI's announcement of $10 million minimum for its consulting services. For those using Enduring Advantage, this should set off blaring alarm bells. There have to be drone makers licking their lips, waiting for any indication that a company is using OpenAI's consulting services because they're seeing an easy mark. Okay, obviously I'm not talking about real drone makers. I'm talking about people with the drone maker mentality. You can think of them as the people who use off-the-shelf components and task-built AI functionality to defeat systems that cost orders of magnitude more. Plus, they understand that AI capabilities are doubling every 7 months, And in the opportunity spaces created by OpenAI's consultancy, speed is about how quickly your organization learns and adapts, not just the response time of your consultants. Not to beat a dead horse, but let's get real clear about what threat saturation actually represents and why common defensive reactions miss the point entirely. Traditional competitive threats follow predictable patterns. One or two major competitors per market segment. The rest are too small to matter. It's your 80-20 rule. Known capabilities and business models. Most entrepreneurs are like that. So that's the traditional threat environment. Industry boundaries remain stable for years. There's no smudging of the lines. Things happen and people get upset when you start to talk about possibly using their solution in a new environment. The time to analyze threats and develop strategic responses. This is to say, there is a certain rhythm or flow about things. Generally, we're talking about a yearly cycle. Threat saturation creates a different opportunity space entirely. Multiple simultaneous threats. Not one or two competitors, but 5, 10, 20 organizations all developing similar capabilities simultaneously using the same AI tools. Stealth threats are the ones where a company decides that they're not going to broadcast that they're working in a space. You see these with startups all the time. These startups, they're stealthy. They don't want to tell you what they're actually working on. They keep everything, close to their vest. Phantom threats are the ones that seem to pop on and off your radar screen as they ride along just above the noise floor, meaning that there's something there, but it's too small to devote any resources to investigate until it's too late. Compressed response times. No time for strategic planning cycles. By the time you completed your initial analysis, more threats have emerged and your competitive advantage is collapsing, mainly because AI capabilities double every 7 months. I can't say that enough. And then there's cost asymmetry. Your new competitors are deploying capabilities for thousands of dollars that it took you millions of dollars and custom integrations to build and months to deploy. I understand the panic. AI just blew a competitive advantage hole in your business model that you spent years building and millions developing. But here's what everyone's missing. The individual threats aren't the problem. Threat saturation is simply a symptom of a deeper reality. The systematic commoditization of every business capability that can be enhanced by AI. And this commoditization is accelerating. So let's do a back of the envelope calculation. Everything in the AI ecosystem is doubling in capability every 7 months. Not just the large language models, everything. The tools, the databases, the specialty tools like vector database storage, the UI components, you get the picture. And they're not all on the same timeline. They don't happen in the same window. So basically everybody doesn't say, okay, we're going to hold our new advancement until everybody else is ready and we're going to launch at the same time. Not how it works. Basically, it's happening all the time. In past episodes, we talked about how the doubling of AI capabilities led to the competitive advantage built with them to have an 18 to 24 month window before they become table stakes. However, because the capabilities of everything else in the AI ecosystem are doubling, your 18-month competitive advantage could shrink to approximately 3 to 4 months before competitors can replicate it using better tools, doing it cheaper, and deploying it faster, depending on where your most important technology are in their capabilities doubling cycle. This is not a business model. This is a treadmill that's accelerating. And here's the mathematical reality that makes threat saturation so dangerous. Traditional defense strategies assume you can outspend attackers. In military terms, you can build a better missile system. In business terms, you can invest more in R&D, build bigger industrial campuses. The people working with this new drone maker mentality, They're spending 100-hour weeks. So it doesn't matter how much you invest in your R&D that you expect to see a payback in 18 to 24 months. If you're working 100 hours a week, you're going to get something out of it. And it's going to be basically, you're going to be moving the goalpost every chance you get. But threat saturation in an AI abundant environment inverts the cost equation. When attackers can deploy capabilities in a fraction of what defense costs, volume overwhelms sophistication every time. It's why swarms of $500 drones defeat $30 million defense systems routinely. And it's how AI-powered middle market companies can outperform better funded multinational enterprises despite having a fraction of their resources. Next, let's talk about the strategic error that's crippling most organizations right now. Treating each new AI capability release as a strategic inflection point rather than as an expected variable that's already priced into your planning. It's like a logistics company treating traffic patterns as an unexpected disruption instead of as a predictable variable you can optimize around. Every time OpenAI or Anthropic releases new capabilities, I watch the same cycle play out. New capability launch, executives panic. What does this mean for our business? Will we survive? Then there's market confusion. Clients ask, should they switch strategies or find a new vendor? Then there's a rush to implementation. That's the AI version of keeping up with the Joneses. Then there's temporary relief. Oh my God, we really dodged a bullet. Next launch, repeat entire cycle 7 months later, only louder. This cycle exists because organizations have allowed AI capability advancement to creep onto their critical path. Just to be clear, when I say critical path, we're talking about the steps that are essential to organizational viability. Even a brief delay can leave lasting scars. When you allow AI capability advancement onto your critical paths, you guarantee inconvenient disruptions and constant chaos. But you also can't ignore these advances. Ignoring these advances makes it difficult to keep up. It leads to what I like to call the capabilities avalanche. Capabilities double every 7 months. The fear of falling behind and the very real consequence cause a cascading chain of failure. Once the capabilities avalanche is underway, minor changes cost exorbitant amounts because you haven't made incremental adaptations to keep systems current. So what's the answer? Concentrate on enduring advantage. It's more important to strengthen your positioning and find ways to ensure new capabilities compound your advantage rather than decrease them. We call this adaptive intelligence. Key characteristics: self-improving systems, capabilities that strengthen through feedback loops rather than requiring manual adaptation. Enhanced learning, advantages that accelerate as AI capabilities improve rather than being made obsolete by them. Automatic strengthening, competitive positioning that improves without requiring constant investment or management intervention. Predictive intelligence, systems that anticipate competitive advantage, market changes before they actually materialize. Adaptive intelligence operates through intelligence multiplication, measuring how much organizations' performance improves after AI enhancements across key decision categories: strategy, operations, customer success, competitive decisions. The power comes from compound effects. Improvements reinforce each other in virtuous cycles. For example, better AI-enhanced proposals lead to better clients provide better case studies enable even better proposals, creating automatic capability development. Why it matters. In environments where AI capabilities double every 7 months, traditional competitive advantages become rapidly replicable commodities. Adaptable intelligence solves this by creating advantages that accelerate through the same AI advancement that threatens traditional moats. This is contrasted with static capabilities that require continuous defense and reinvestment just to maintain their effectiveness. Implementing just a few of the changes outlined on this podcast, and you will help create a drone strategy that will allow you to survive the threat saturation that tanked many of your traditional competitors. Always remember, good things come in small prompts. And we're out.